All right, in today's video, I'm going to be joined by Kerrod Gray. We're going to be talking all things hips. We're going to be talking about pressure, lateral, weight distribution. There's a lot of fantastic information in this video that you can learn a lot from, so stay tuned.
Coming out better and better, mate.
I'll tell you something, you got on a string.
I know. So let's talk about the difference between shifting your pressure versus weight, right?
Yes.
There's a big misconception out there with
Huge.
a lot of players that they need to load up their back foot right to the top of the backswing and then shift everything coming down.
Yep.
But the golf swing is a dynamic, fluid one motion. It's not segmented, a backswing and a downswing, right? And we've got a great tool here, which is going to give us some awareness to the difference between shifting our pressure and weight.
We do have a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
The old downshift. Right, so you've popped yourself on there.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do see a lot of, like as you just kind of demonstrated then, this kind of trail hip will start to get right outside of the trail foot.
Yeah.
So we want to try and keep it inside of the trail foot whilst rotating.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So you're going to shift that pressure into the right side nice and early.
Yep.
But you're not going to allow that right hip to get out there as well.
Correct. And we do see there is a slight amount of pelvis sway, but when we're looking to improve recreational golfers' swings, we're looking at exaggeration.
Yeah, feel like it's zero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And your objective here, standing on either side of this downshift board, would be to feel like a big press down into the right side. And as I do that, that actually helps me feel like I can facilitate a lot more freedom and rotation to the top. And before we talk about the transition, let's just talk about why there might be that misconception between weight and pressure shift, right? Why don't we want to load up that back foot?
I think the amount of information that's out there as well, a lot of people kind of do think, okay, I'm going to get my weight to my trail side as I get to the top, and they just do it in the wrong way. So I often tell people to try and feel like the pocket is working behind. Yeah. So then you're keeping your hips inside of your feet while still pressuring into the right side, not laterally moving into the right side. So as we say, like sway versus pressure, that move there is a pressure move. Yeah. So you're going to feel like you're pulling that kind of trail pocket back behind you whilst feeling like the hips have not moved laterally. Yeah. So you've pressured into that trail side without laterally moving across. And that's one of the key things you see is that, and it's the awareness, the understanding of how to do it as well, which is the key one. Yeah. A lot of golfers will move across thinking that they've transitioned their weight, but they haven't actually pressured and rotated.
And I think this is so important because there is this huge understanding out there with the golf swing, like we were saying before, of the difference between the backswing and downswing. And searching transition on Google and YouTube, it's such a common practice for a lot of players, right? Absolutely. So after they've gone back, then there's this oh so important move that you'll see with every proficient ball striker, which visually is demonstrated by this sort of looking of sinking down, that pause, that delay. It's not a matter of just stopping the club at the top. It is more so about understanding that we don't need to rush the downswing, one of your favorite terms, right? But as we are shifting and beginning to make our downswing back towards the target, we are shifting our pressure, which is applying force into the ground. That gives us the freedom to then rotate. Yeah. It's not about doing all this lateral move.
No. And I think that's where probably even old coaching from even when I was being brought up, it was always up to the top and then just laterally move. And that's just kind of, that's your shift. And that's kind of, there's no pressure in that lead side whatsoever. So as you say, you get to the top there and you're kind of, or I would always feel like you're working down that way. Yeah. It's almost like you're kind of pushing down into the feet. That then sets the energy to get that rotation up.
And then so using this board here, if I was starting my backswing through a shift of pressure, I'm going to slam that down, right? That then allows my body to pivot and rotate. And as I get that same feeling that you were describing there and I begin to recenter back towards the ball, like I'm not consciously moving in such a position where I'm bumping my hips forward. Because if my upper body's back, you can see I'm trying to bump my hips forward, but the pressure's still on the back foot there, right? Now, to create proficiency in power and strike throughout the golf swing, we need this movement where it does go from back foot to the recentering, coming down towards the target, and it's almost this feeling like falling and coasting downhill before swinging up and out of it.
That's such good feedback as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and
like
so
when you just bumped your hip across but didn't actually pressure, your pressure was still on the right side, your trail side.
Yeah, correct. So shifting, rotating, moving, you can see that from here, it's not really this big aggressive slide whatsoever. It is just this folding sensation that I'm moving back towards the target and delaying it that gives me the ability to shift the pressure and then move through.
And also you can see the hips haven't gone way outside of your feet, and you've still pressured. So it's a minute over like a full speed swing, and you slow it down. It's minimal, like say minimal lateral, but maximum pressure and power, efficiency and power.
Now, at the end of the day here, guys, this is simply a board with some grip at the top and then a piece of wood underneath. So you can make one of these quite easily yourself. And just be mindful that you want to start with your weight on the left side, because that's going to give you the ability to shift to the trail, which can initiate the backswing. So we're going to shift, rotate, recenter, follow through. And simply just putting this on the carpet at home and just working on that feeling of what it's like to get all this freedom of what feels like an aggressive shift of pressure that allows that body to rotate throughout the motion. Players will probably feel like they're turning a lot more and it's a lot more fluid anyway.
And the feeling of, like say, the more space as you start to get up to the top of the backswing as well is key. So as you started to clear that right trail side, you've got so much more coil and so much more space in your upper body.
Love it.
And once you get into that routine of it, that sequencing of it, again, the downswing gets better, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Feels like a nice little dance move, shred the D floor. Works on all the chords.
You're a natural.
All right, so we got the feeling from doing the downshift board. Now, you always feel like you get a little bit of sea legs the first time after stepping off that thing. So I'm now
just telling me to stand away a little bit further.
Conscious and aware of the shift of pressure, the rotation, the folding, and following through. All right, let's blend this into a shot.
That's it. Beautiful.
Felt really good, mate. Nice shift of pressure. Allowed me the freedom to rotate, recenter, and move towards the target. Effortless strike.
Ball flight.
Of the work.
Beautiful. In this video, we're going to be talking all about hip turn. How much rotation do you need? Why do you need hip turn? What can you do in regards to pressure, lateral movement? The hips are vitally important in this golf swing, okay? They create power, they create rotation, they create depth within the top of your backswing. They're pretty important. Balance, the lot. We need to make sure that they're working on the correct angle. We need to make sure they're working with the correct speed and power and rotation and resistance. And regardless of whether you've got the hip rotation of a 16-year-old, where I remember I used to be able to like, it was like an elastic band, to now, where I feel like I'm sore every time I move them, to maybe slightly elderly, where you really feel like you don't have much rotation at all. This video, we're going to be talking about ways in which you can use your hips to the best of your ability and be able to maximize your distance and the consistency of strike, because that is really, really important